So real quick, I just want to demonstrate the weird cuts that are on this snorkel. So I've temporarily just thrown the filter into it, and you can see when I rotate it, you could see how that filter sits nicely inside the snorkel all the way around. But you can also see how obviously the snorkel has not been cut perfectly flat. You can see what I was talking about, how it runs uphill in this front corner, this front right corner right here. And that's because it's matching the bend in the forward ramp. But the filter has no problems contorting itself to match. All right. So let me move on. I'll talk to you guys later. All right, so here's an example of how quickly things change. I had just talked about having the snorkel up against the inlet ramp, and then you trace around it. Once you have it traced, then you can come down. The instructions say come down 3/8 of an inch from the inlet ramp, come down 3/8, and then you could mark the actual snorkel itself to cut it. So again, you have I just talked about having the snorkel in place, and with it touching the ramp, you trace around it to make a mark on the ramp. That's the hole that you're going to cut in here. Once you have that marked, then you can go ahead and trim the snorkel itself down 3/8 of an inch. But I realized that the filter has to fit inside of this ramp from the top, the entire filter. The top of the filter is going to be flush with the inlet ramp. It's not going to sit into the ramp with the outer edge just laying on top. So that means this opening has to be cut to the outside diameter of the filter. You can see from the video that I just shot, the filter sits inside of the snorkel, but this edge of the filter is way larger than the snorkel. So it's this edge here that you have to trace, the filter edge, not the edge of the snorkel. So I went ahead and once again bolted the snorkel in place with the gasket down here. Got it in position, got the ramp and the sidewall in position. I keep checking my reference marks that I had drawn to make sure that this is still in alignment. And now I've got the filter installed in the snorkel, and I have it pushed up against the bottom edge of the inlet ramp all the way around. And now I'm going to trace around the filter. And that will give me the opening that I need for the filter to sit inside of the ramp. So let me do that, and I will talk to you guys later. Howdy, everyone. All right, working on the snorkel filter bracket stuff, and also a little bit more baffling work, just because they're all kind of interconnected at this point. So is the cowling. But anywho, the kit for the snorkel, these are the written instructions here. There are a couple of pages of written instructions, and there are a couple of photographs, and there are also a couple of drawings. So like I had said, I was fitting the actual snorkel to the engine, getting where it connects to the servo and where this open face relates to the bottom of the ramp. So I had talked about working on the forward ramp and getting the various angles and stuff bent in here so that that will interface with the opening of the cowling. Once that was bent correctly, then you start fitting the snorkel again to the servo and to the underside of this ramp area. Since the ramp was bent to fit the cowling, now you trim the snorkel to fit the bottom of the ramp. So that's why, like I had showed you in the other video, this has got a weird shape to it. You can see it runs downhill this way. From this corner to this corner, it runs back uphill. Across the back is pretty straight. And then from this corner to this corner, from this back corner to this front corner, it runs uphill again. So it's got an odd shape to it, but it matched the contour of the ramp, and that was bent specifically to match the contour of the inlet on the cowling. But you can see now that I'm starting to fit the filter, that ramp area that you just bent all gets cut away. But you need to do that first because, again, that dictates the shape of the snorkel, and this shape will now fit the cowling, even though most of the ramp is now gone. Don't forget, you've already installed the bracket underneath this piece of the ramp. That's why this is solid now. It's not attached. I haven't riveted it yet, but again, this gets bent to match the cowling opening, and then you fit the bracket that's underneath this to match the ramp. So this bracket now holds this part of the ramp in its proper location. This has already been cut to its proper shape according to the ramp that used to be here. And then, of course, we still have our reference marks on the sidewall here. Can I get in there? These reference marks here on the sidewall is where you need to line up this edge of the baffles, and that will make sure that this still continues to line up with the opening on the cowling. Don't get rid of your reference marks. So what I'm doing now is I'm fitting the filter, and I'm fitting these brackets. These brackets, they come as a solid piece, more like this and this. And this one is the one I'm working on now, so it's already been cut and shaped a little bit. But you can kind of see the profile. It's basically just a step. And I'm just starting to fit these. These are what the filter actually will rest on. So there's one in the back and there's one on each side. And that's what the filter rests on. There are drawings. Here's another sketch here. These drawings are a good reference. I didn't use these for any real measurement. But they're a good reference. And this one, I'm try to clarify this if I can get these stupid pages separated. Okay, so this is something that it confused me for a little bit, but I've got it figured out. If you look at, gosh, this sucks. I should have put this on a tripod. You look at this drawing here. You've got a 1 Bravo for this back piece, and then both of these side pieces are a 1 Alpha. All right. When you look at these drawings, figure 2 is for the 1 Bravo. Figure 1 is for the 1 Alphas. What you want to make note here is the profile. So here's a profile sketch. The 1 Alpha piece, the step is square. It's 7/16 by 7/16. The 1 Bravo piece is not. It's 3/8 one dimension and 7/16 the other dimension. Make note of that and make sure you orient this piece with the 3/8 and the 7/16 correctly. And that's shown here. So this lip here, this is the lip that goes down inside of the snorkel. So the 3/8 lip is what the filter actually sits down on. All right. You can kind of see that if I go back here. So this is the 1 Bravo. This edge here is what fits down inside of the snorkel. And then this edge of the step is 3/8. That's what the filter actually sits on. And then the back wall of that step is 7/16. All right, so pay attention to that when you're cutting up your pieces. So that back piece I've already got in place. You can see it there. I've made use of the existing rivet holes across the back. I'm going to put 3 screws in, or 4 screws right where these clecos are. This will be a screw, this will be a screw, this will be a screw, this will be a screw. The idea is that this piece and the 2 side pieces that I just showed you, those get riveted to the snorkel. So in order to separate all this, you have to be able to unbolt it around the perimeter, and then this will drop out of the way, and then this can come out. So I went ahead, rather than drill new holes for screws, I'm just going to go ahead and make use of existing holes. I'll put nut plates in here, and then I'll just have the 4 screws. The holes in between will be rivets, but there'll be flush rivets on the bottom side. So when I screw everything together, there's nothing interfering. So the back piece is done. Obviously, I've got the opening cut in the ramp. And now I'm working on this side piece, which is the one that I have here. And this is the same idea. This piece will fit inside like this, and then it will fit in this back corner, something like that. That's what I'm working on now. This is very tedious. It takes a lot of time. It's just like everything else, cowling and baffle related. There's a lot of assembly, disassembly, reassembly, disassembly, a lot of tweaking. Everybody's situation is going to be different. There's no set where, there's no exact measurement where the snorkel needs to be, where this hole needs to be cut out. All that's going to be specific to your airplane. You have to go incredibly slow and think during the entire time that you're working on this, think about baffle sealing. You want everything to be nice and sealed when everything is finished. I think I've talked about this before. This back corner here is a good area to have a lot of leaks. There's a lot of components that come together into this corner. And you want to make sure you're thinking about baffles and efficient baffles and having everything sealed. So when you start working on all this, make sure that you're always thinking about making sure that everything is checked and double checked and things are nice and smooth and square and tight and are going to be able to seal the baffles when everything is complete. And use your reference marks like I talked about here. Okay, so I'm going to get some more brackets laid out here, and I'll talk to you guys later.